Every company out there is sitting on a gold mine of knowledge. Seriously. The problem is that gold is often buried deep. It's locked away in different departments, lost in old email chains, or maybe it just lives inside the heads of a few key people. It's incredibly valuable, but for most, it's totally out of reach.
So, what if there was a key to unlock all that trapped expertise? And what if that key was something your company is already using every single day to get work done? Well, that's the big question we're going to dig into today.
All right, first things first, let's get on the same page. When we talk about knowledge management or KM, it's really just a fancy way of saying we're getting the right information to the right people at the right time. It's all about using what your team collectively knows to make smarter moves and perform better.
And on the other side of the coin, you've got this thing called a business process management system, or BPMS. Now, the easiest way to think about this is like a GPS for your business. It maps out all your day-to-day workflows, it guides you along the way, and it tracks your progress. Its main job? Just making sure everything runs smoothly. So, here's the million-dollar question. Can this business GPS also double as a knowledge library? To figure that out, we're diving into a brand new study that gives us a detailed blueprint for how these two worlds can and should connect.
Now, everything we're talking about today is grounded in some solid academic research. It comes from a 2025 study published in the Business Process Management Journal. The paper is called The Value of a Business Process Management System for Knowledge Management, a User Perspective. And the credit goes to a team of researchers, Alicia Martin Navarro, Paula Lechuga Sancho, Mark Swayewski, and Jose Aurelio Medina Garrido. So what these researchers did was create a kind of blueprint. They wanted to build a model to figure out exactly what it is that makes an employee look at their process software and actually think, yeah, this is genuinely useful for managing our team's knowledge. And here it is. This is that blueprint. I know, it looks a little complicated at first glance, but just think of it like a roadmap. Over on the far left, you have your starting points, things like the quality of the system. And way over on the far right, that's your destination. Do people actually find this thing useful? All those lines in the middle are just the different roads the study looked at to see how we get from A to B. Let's break that whole map down into a much simpler three-step journey, okay? First, you've got the inputs. This is the quality of the service, the tech itself, and of course, the information in it. Second, you have the reaction. This is all about how people actually use the system and, crucially, how happy they are using it. And finally, you get the outcome. Do they actually see it as a useful tool for managing knowledge? Now, this is where the study gets really interesting and kind of flips the script. The common assumption, right, has always been if you build a useful system, people will be satisfied with it. Usefulness leads to satisfaction. But these researchers asked, what if it's the other way around? What if being satisfied with the system is what causes you to see it as useful in the first place? So what happened when they took this idea out into the real world and tested it with 242 actual users? Well, the verdict came in, and honestly, the results were pretty surprising. Let's get to the first big reveal. What actually makes people use the system for these knowledge tasks? The data was just crystal clear. The quality of the information in the system, that was a huge driver. Good service and support, yeah, that helped a little bit, but get this. The technical quality of the software itself, it had no significant effect at all. Zero. So let that sink in for a second. The big takeaway here is that it doesn't matter how slick, how modern, or how many bells and whistles your software has. If the information inside it isn't accurate, relevant, and easy to find, people just won't use it for knowledge work. It's that simple. Content is absolutely king. And this final model here really tells the story. The paths that are lit up show what really mattered. You can see that strong line from information quality leading people to actually use the system. But look at that. The most powerful connection on the whole map is the one going from user satisfaction straight to perceived usefulness. In fact, the researchers themselves summed it up perfectly. They said, our work advances theory by reversing the conventional causal ordering. We position user satisfaction as a driver rather than an outcome of perceived usefulness. Basically, they proved their theory. It's our emotional response, hey, I actually like using this thing, that shapes our logical judgment. You know what? This thing is useful. Okay, so this is all really fascinating stuff. But what does it actually mean for your company, for you? Let's translate all this research into a practical, no-nonsense playbook for any leader who wants to finally unlock that hidden knowledge. Here are the 4 big rules of the game. First, and this is the big one, focus on satisfaction first. A happy user is a productive user. Their satisfaction is your single best predictor of success. Second, prioritize content over code. Pour your resources into making sure the knowledge in the system is amazing. Third, support your people. Good training, a reliable help desk, that's what gets people in the door and makes them feel comfortable. And finally, you want to create a virtuous circle. The research shows that satisfied users find the system more useful, which makes them use it more, which makes them even more satisfied. It's a powerful feedback loop.
At the end of the day, like the paper concludes, this is all about a fundamental shift in how we think about technology at work. It's about designing solutions that are centered on the user, tools that don't just automate a task, but actually engage the human being on the other side of the screen. And so that leaves us all with one final question to think about. When you look at the technology in your own organization, was it designed just to manage a process, or was it truly designed to empower the people who make those processes come to life? The answer to that question might just be the key to unlocking that goldmine of knowledge.